This wasn't what I expected to happen when I woke up this morning. Eddie shoved the paper in my face as if he was trying to force me into wearing a mask. "Look, I know," I said, trying to be patient. "I know." But Eddie's short-tempered style was starting to get under my nerves for a while, heating the cooling air around us. "The numbers aren't adding up for almost a year now. I'm sorry, but haven't you noticed?" But there were no right answers anyone could give when it came to arguing with Eddie. He got up off his chair and backed off the table in the cellar, hands passing through his beard and face. Eddie breathed deeply, and then he hit the single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, making it bounce side to side above the table. I've seen this drama staged countless times before, and each time I promised myself I'd do something about it. "So to you, it's no surprise we're going bankrupt," Eddie accused as he turned his back to me, whispering nonsense to himself. Then he turned to the wine bottles on the rack we bought 2 months ago to attract new niches of hipsters and old people. And then he turned to the wine bottles on the rack we had bought 2 months earlier to attract new niches of hipsters and old people, all piled up and still intact. He was right though. Nobody was feasting with us. The wine room itself just served as an isolated space for Eddie to speak out loud. "No," I managed to say, my palms sweaty. "It's not a surprise to me, man. It's not a surprise because I'm the only one doing the accounting," I said, quite irritated myself. "But keeping in mind it's important to be polite. I'm the one that's been telling for months now that we should review our expenses and our menu, refresh our presence online and on the food industry, and just think." "Think about what?" Something about Eddie's tone beyond the bouncing light made me uneasy, although I couldn't see his face. "I don't know, you retard," I thought. "I don't know, about new ideas, I guess. But now that we don't have any money left, you want to get all pissed off," I said, almost drowning in my own lungs, like that it's going to change a thing now. When I finished speaking, Eddie faced me with a look of disgust, like I had accepted defeat or something, his forehead melting in sweat. That was a sight I knew he couldn't handle much more. In a visceral way, I mean, and one that he had never gave me. Even before the restaurant, even in high school, ever. He is now using my hatred for confrontation against me. Hasn't he always? There's no point arguing when people are irrational like this. They never change their minds no matter how well you argue. And all rage does is to exhaust everyone involved and hurt, but sometimes I have to at least try standing up for myself. Otherwise Eddie will just step all over me. So I stood too, so mine and Eddie's eyes were at the same height level, and I said, "Hey man, I'm sorry you feel this way. Maybe we can still figure," but my words were cut off by the smashing Coyote Creek's bottle onto the ground. Glass and 750 milliliters of wine spilled on my shoes, and Eddie exploded about how he gave everything he had for the restaurant, apologizing, but then demanding to know exactly how he was going to tell his wife and kids about this, accusing me of neglecting the company's financial needs. A sharp shard stuck under my shoe had half a coyote grimacing to me. It mocked me. "This just costed us $9.99 USD, you lunatic." The heat increased, and I took the opportunity to wonder if we were able to pay the electric bill that month. No, I don't think we did. By now, most would just get away from a person like Eddie, but nobody can escape from family, even in the absence of them. You reading this now, you know that. I'm sure you do. "Just calm down, Ed," I asked as Eddie drew in the air all the movements necessary to throw another bottle, this time into the wall, however stopping just before. His tense shoulders dismantled by the side of his body. Then Eddie fell into his chair again, sobbing, the wine swirling inside the bottle, the lamp giving up to gravity. It didn't fade out the warm trembling sensation fed inside of me, but my legs became limbs once more. My heart found its rhythm again, and Eddie wiped the sweat from his brow. "We'll just figure it out. We can still sell the restaurant," I said, grabbing the sharp piece of glass from the ground and starting to clean up the mess. I know my brother-in-law well. I know it was just a burst of involuntary despair he needed to get off his chest, even if Eddie acted that all of this stuff wasn't also happening to me. "Max, it's 2 a.m. We can clean tomorrow," Eddie said to the floor. "I'm sorry." "It's okay, man," I cited. "It's not anybody's fault. It just happens." "No, it's not okay. Not this time," Eddie said as he shoved his left hand into his pocket, and then buried his face under his other trembling hand. "Listen," he said. And then silence. Eddie casually placed a pistol on the table next to the bottle. "I need you to call Miranda for me," he said, blinking an eye at a time. Jesus Christ, man! Apparently Eddie owed significant amounts of money to not the most kind of people. "Selling the restaurant won't grasp it. It's really bad," he said. "Well, how much is it?" I managed to say, although my eyes were glued to the gun. "It doesn't matter, Max. You're not listening." Eddie spinned the gun on the table and he opened the wine bottle. If they know that I broke," Eddie breathed sharply, "they'll torture Miranda and they'll do horrible things to the girls." Eddie sipped the wine and he pointed the gun to my face. "They'll come after you too," he said. I sat on the floor. "Just take it easy, Ed, please. There's always another way." "You call Miranda. Tell her to bring the kids with her," Eddie said, getting up really fast, and I prepared to die. "Now!" And Eddie passed out and he fell hard to the table, hitting his head. I yelled upstairs, but the chef and the waiters had already gone home. The poor light made it difficult to unlock my phone, while the overwhelming feeling of danger suddenly became one of distress, but I managed to dial 911. "911, what's your emergency?" said a slow feminine voice. I hesitated for a moment. 2 males, signs of struggle, imminent bankruptcy, insurance motives, and a gun. Visualizing the situation from someone else's eyes, this scene didn't look like it was going to end well on my side. I thought of hiding my friend's corpse. Lying to his family, lying to everyone crossed my mind, but it honestly was beyond me. I visualized the dispatcher trying to hear the background of my caller, trying to triangulate my location. "If you can't speak," she said, "I'm gonna need you to tap the phone or make a noise, okay? Tap once on the speaker if you understand." "No, I'm fine." I finally snapped out of it. "It's my friend. He suffered an accident. He fell. I think his head might be hurt. He's unconscious." "Okay, sir. I'm already requesting an ambulance. Are you with your friend right now? What is your current location?" "It's 821 Curtis Street. We're inside the Mirage restaurant. We're the owners. There's a big sign at the entrance." I spilled like a confession. "We're in the wine cellar downstairs. Just please hurry. The ambulance will arrive in around 7 minutes, sir. I just need you to stay calm. What's your friend's name?" "It's Eduardo." "Okay," she typed something. "And yours?" "Maddox. Max." "Okay, Max. Is there anyone else in there with you too?" "No. The restaurant closed an hour ago. I was thinking about calling his wife. Would it be okay? They live close by." "You can do that if you want, yes. Are you armed, Max?" "No, ma'am," I said, hiding Eddie's pistol behind my shirt. Before ending the call, the dispatcher instructed me to not touch Eddie until the ambulance arrived, or I could worsen his condition. I did call Miranda right after I told her that Eddie had an accident, and it was the least I could do. Then it was just Eddie and me again for what felt like hours. As I looked at him, unsettled by silence, a part of me thought this could actually be good publicity for the Mirage. If we all survived this somehow. I was going to go to the sidewalk to wait for medical help and have a guilt smoke, but I didn't have the opportunity to do so, because Miranda came so fast. She beat the ambulance response and she caught me mid-stairs. Before her marriage, Miranda and I used to be close once. I could see Miranda running from her car to the restaurant's entrance through the front windows. Her hair was sleepy and mad, flowing in the heat-distorted air of the night. She was wearing slippers and yellow pajamas I dragged across the street. It was even hotter up there in the lobby, and I had difficulty reaching the doorknob because of the overwhelming heat. But it could just be me suffering beforehand from Miranda's reaction. Hot air rushed underneath my skin to breathe. My hand trembled the same as Eddie's just moments before, and an extreme pressure warmed my head. A fever impeding me from moving fast, but I managed to open the door with lots of effort. Miranda and I exchanged a confused, tired look. She didn't even speak when she crossed me. She went straight to the cellar. I yelled as I tried following her, "Don't move him," but she didn't respond. It was too late for that. "Miranda," I said, crawling back to the cellar. "Help is already on the way." I looked at my watch. The ambulance should be arriving at any minute. 17 minutes had passed. "What?" "Well, where is he, Max?" Miranda stared at me confused when I entered the room. The light bulb flickered on and off. "Where's Eddie?" "What? He's right here," I said, pointing to where he should have been. But he wasn't. Only Eddie's clothes stood on the floor. "What? What are you two doing?" Miranda said, pissed, as I smiled, perplexed by the surreal sensation that went through my body. It felt like a magic trick. "It's 2 a.m. on the hottest night of the year, Max." I looked around and searched for my friend, the one that I was sure was hurt minutes before. I felt nauseated. He was here. He is here. I searched my phone for the 911 call. The call was in the history log. "Look." I showed it to Miranda. "Where is he then, Max?" Miranda spread her arms, carrying the weight of the words on her shoulders. "I don't know," I said, looking around in the dark. My eyes were sloppy and wet. They burned a little when I blinked, adjusting themselves. Terror dominated my body when I saw a crouched man, Eddie, looking down at us from the corner, naked. His face was stroke distorted, and when he saw me, Eddie screamed insanely loud as if he was falling from an infinite pit alongside horror himself. Miranda and I froze as the three of us stood still for a moment, without knowing what to do, without knowing what to say. Then Eddie shut up and bursted with everything he got past us to the stairs. He tripped, got up, and then ran again like crazy. "Eddie!" Miranda yelled and went up to the stairs searching for him, as I was still mesmerized by what had just happened. I snapped back by a yellow pane, so I followed Miranda upstairs and I found her in the lobby taking a nasty piece of glass from her hand. Eddie lunged through the window and he ran down the street. Miranda said as we stared at Eddie racing naked on the empty road. "I'll get the car and we'll go look for him," I said as soon as I could. 24 minutes had passed since I first called 911. One would think how hard it was to find a naked man running aimlessly, but Eddie was nowhere. He vanished into the night, and 3 minutes during our pursuit, we got stuck in traffic. At 2 a.m., dozens and dozens of cars that wouldn't move no matter how hard we honked or yelled. After almost 10 minutes without any movement, Miranda had lost her patience. She got out of the car and went to ask the next one what was going on. Meanwhile, I checked my phone to see if any accidents had occurred in Denver recently. There was a yellow and white flashing warning, wireless emergency alert in and out. I didn't feel it buzzing in my pocket while the motor was on. How long was this here? "Max!" Miranda came running back to the car, breathless. "Max, there's something wrong." "There's nobody in that car. There's nobody in any of the cars." I let out a little of warm piss in my pants. "They're clothes," Miranda said by the window. "Only clothes, I don't understand. I feel dizzy." She bounced her head as if disapproving a bad habit, and then entered the car and picked her phone up and dialed 3 numbers, but the call wouldn't connect. "What do we do, Max?" "I don't know, hide?" "We need to find Ed," I said under an infernal breath. It was hard to think with the increasing heat. It was harder to speak. I got out of the car myself to get some air, and some of the cars had their doors open and windows broken. They were left there, abandoned, like everybody fled in a hurry. Nobody had passed us on the way here, though. My sweat started to evaporate around me, giving me an aura of mist, and the road was a bad dream that came from hell. Miranda took off her pajamas and drank the water I brought in the car. We couldn't speak anymore. There was no energy to do so. My arms and legs fell numbly around my body, and beyond rationality, I decided to climb in the car and lie down. All my spirit melted, and all my thoughts seized. What was left in their place? An absolute withdrawal of my own life. I took my pants off and then my shirt, and I used them to avoid the heated metal from the roof of the car. When I was up there, I looked back from where we came. Behind us, screamings and cars stopped in place. Out of them, people ran a marathon by the side of the road, naked and entering the bushes. They're going to the Cherry Creek. "I know where Eddie is," I sat upside down by the passenger seat's window to Miranda. "He's on the South Platte River." "Max, did you see the warning?" Miranda said without looking at me but staring up at her phone. "It's from NASA." At that moment, a bright light lit the air and turned the dawn into day. It was a soundless lightning kissing existence as it made everything white as you would imagine if it was in the creation of the world. It lasted less than a second, but enough to burn my back. I could hear its soft crackling and popping, and it turns out that it burned Miranda's eyes too. "I can't see," she said blankly, in shock from inside the car. I crawled to the floor screaming and falling to the ground. Nauseated, I vomited. My sister's skin was stretched and glued to the car and to her seat. "Storm," Miranda says. "It's a storm." I wrapped my shirt on my arm and I turned the radio on, and to my surprise it was still working. "Attention, this is a weather emergency. An intense burst of radiation associated with sunspots are causing unusual solar flares to affect North and the South Americas. They come from the release of magnetic energy. If you live in Wyoming, Arizona, Colorado, or New Mexico, please lock your doors, shut your windows, and stay in at all means. Do not stay outside. Do not look at the sky." I took Eddie's pistol and I pointed it at Miranda. The metal warmed my hand of its temperature and the gun fell to the ground. The extremities of Miranda's bodies were melting and she was suffering, but I couldn't save my sister from Ed, and I couldn't help her now once more. Her eyes couldn't see me, but they were moving slowly. I hope she forgives me. I ripped her off the car and I placed her under the first tree I met, and then I ran and I just ran. I went past the trees to the river. There were hundreds of people on the way, some stuck in a branch or a rock. Others were crawling and some had passed out. They were all burned to flesh. Kids, elderly, men and women. They were just running straight to it, the river, throwing their bodies like waste. The ones that had made it this far are drowning. I went back to Miranda after I saw Eddie floating with his belly up. I took shelter with clothes that I had found on the way. There are some other people with us and we're here for around 20 minutes, I think. My fear of another flare won my desire to swim. Maybe I'll come back though, cool down. I can't touch my back on anything, it's already filled with dirt. It hurts. A flare. It can happen again at any moment and I didn't know what to do. So I'm writing this now. I don't see others posting about this and I don't know if the internet is working. If there is anyone from Denver here, please. Can you just call the police and check? Tell where we are. If you live in the Middle West of the United States, do not look at the sky. Do not leave your house. Do not...